Hello there, this is part 5 of my tutorial for Giorni. If you haven't watched the first 4 parts, you're here by accident. Here's a link to the playlist so you can watch it from the beginning. Now in this part we're gonna tackle the most difficult part of the chorus, I like to call it a chorus, which is gonna get really fast and complicated. So let's first hear what it's gonna sound like. Okay, you can probably tell that this part is gonna be a little more difficult. So let's start. Let's begin with the left hand again. Okay, so you start by playing those two Ds. Then you play those two A's. Then you jump up and play B, F sharp, B, back and forth. So until here, it started just like the last part. But now, when you play this last chord, you won't just play the 3 notes, but you will also play it back and forth. Like so. So again. Okay. That was pretty easy. Now we continue with the next chord. You won't start on those 2 Ds, but we'll jump up 1 octave and play this chord. You already know this one. Play it back and forth, just like you used to. Go down to the next one, here. Go up to the 3rd chord. And the 4th chord again. So this is the simplest thing, you already know this. Okay, now we continue. You start again with this chord, play it back and forth. Second one the same. Third one still the same. And now for the 4th chord, you will again switch back to playing just 3 notes. Okay, let's listen to that again from the beginning. Okay, and now something new comes in. After you've played this last chord, you play 3 more chords with the left hand. That is, the first one is D and A. Just play D and A. Okay? So you basically start with the first chord again, but you just play those 2 lower notes. Then you go to the next chord, just like you would down here, and you play those 3 notes. So you go from D and A to A, E, A, and then you jump down to the final chord, and that is D, A, D again. Okay, so again. Okay, let's listen to the left hand again. I don't think you need to listen to it slowly. Okay, so far so good. Now let's go over to the right hand. And the last part you left off by playing this. Okay, so what do you do after you play the last A and D? You will jump up to those two Ds, and now you'll play the following. Let's first listen to it. Until here. So as you see, those two Ds, you keep playing them. The only thing that changes is the note in between. So just like before, you just went from here downwards. You also play this, but now the middle note goes downwards and up again. Okay? So you start on this upper D, and then you first play D, A, D. Then you play it again. D, A, D. Then you go down one note to G. Now notice that last time you played this 3 times, then this 2 times, and once. Now you will play it twice, this one twice, F sharp twice, and G twice again. Okay, and you start on this upper D. So again. You play it till here. Let's listen to your right hand with the ending of the last part so you understand the connection between them. Okay, now for the next section of the right hand. You will play, again, this D major chord, of course, but this time, instead of playing it like so, you will play these 3 notes. F sharp, A, and D. Here's the F sharp. Okay, and you play it like this. You play D, F sharp, A, D, F sharp, A. You play 6 notes. Okay? Then, from this chord, you go to the next one and play E, G, D. You do it in the same pattern, just like before. First the upper note, then the chord once, and then the lower 2 notes. That's how I can remember it. Then the second chord. Then you go to the third chord. Third chord is D, F sharp, D. Same pattern again. And now for the fourth chord, you just go up 1 note with your index finger to G and play D, G, D. So again. Okay, let's combine those first 2 sections of the right hand right away. I'll play it really slowly. Okay, now the pattern changes. You go up to the first chord again, but just D and F sharp, you leave away this A. And what you play is just D and F sharp, back and forth, 6 notes in total. Okay, pretty easy. Then you go to the next chord. That one stays the same just like before. E, G, D. And you also play the same pattern just like D and F sharp back and forth. Just this time you play G and D together and then you play E in between. So again. Okay, now you go to the next chord, D, F sharp, D, and again the same. You play D and F sharp together and D in between. Okay, after this chord, you play D, G, D again. And you again play G and D together and D in between. Okay, then you go down to this chord again, D, F sharp, D. So you go from here to this one, to this one, here again, and back to this chord. And then the final chord you play is D, E, D. I'm not sure, I don't know if that's actually a chord, but that's the last thing you play. And you play E and D, and then D in between. So that's a little tricky. You have to figure out which way you want to play this. I play it like this. But you can also put your index finger on this E. Whatever you like more. Okay, so again, the last section of the right hand. And then the last thing you play is D, F sharp, D again. And you just play it upwards. Let's listen to the whole right hand again very slowly. I will again add the ending of the last part so you hear the connection between everything. Alright, now for the patterns, maybe you notice that in the beginning when you play this, can also see the other pattern that I taught you with the playing this upper note first, then the chord, and then the first two notes again. Whatever you can remember more easily, that's what you should apply. So try to find which pattern you can understand better. Maybe it's the one that you play this upper note and then you play the chord twice, play the next chord twice, or you can understand it better when you play this upper note, then the chord once, and then the lower two notes, because that also fits. Even if you don't understand the notes completely, always keep an eye on them, because you can also see patterns in there. Okay, so now let's combine both hands. So you start with this. And on the first D, on this upper D, so after you've jumped up, then you play this upper D, and that's where the first chord comes in. Then, when you play this D up here again, so I'm teaching you with the pattern where you play the upper note, then those three, and the lower two notes again. Okay, because that's the easiest way to explain when to play the left hand. So, then, for the next chord, go down to A here, and you start on this D again. And now you go from here to here, remember that? Then, when you play this D up here again, you start the third chord and jump up with your left hand. And then you play one note on the left hand for one note on the right hand. And that continues almost till the end, okay? So I won't tell you which note to play on which hand for every single note, but just one note on the left hand for one note on the right hand. Just play it really, really slowly, then you'll figure it out. Then you go to the last thing, the fourth chord, and also start on this upper D again. Okay, that was the fourth chord on the left hand and the end of the first section of the right hand. So now you go to this with the right hand. And also, you go to the first chord with the left hand again. And then you just play along. Next chord. Third chord. And the fourth chord. Okay, and now the next section. Starts again the same. Now you just play D and F sharp back and forth, remember, for the first chord. And also one note on the left hand for one note on the right hand. And you do the same thing for the next one. Then the third chord. And the fourth one. Now remember, this time you just play those three notes. So you play this right hand till the end. Okay, and now the two final things. Remember, with the left hand you play D and A. And with the right hand, you will jump up to D, F sharp, D again. Now, with the left hand it gets pretty easy. You just play D and A. And with the right hand, you play F sharp, D and D back and forth. And then the final thing, you play A, E, A, and with the right hand you play this E, D, and D. And then the final thing, with the left hand you go down to D, A, D, and with your right hand you play D, F sharp, D. And you start from the bottom with your left hand and play it upwards. And you just do that as quick as possible. Okay, and by the way, this took me a long time to learn, so don't worry if it gets really difficult, especially when you all of a sudden have to switch from this pattern to this one. But you'll figure it out, just play it really slowly with the left hand. Now because part 5 is pretty much initiated in part 4, I will play both parts now really slowly, starting from here. Because that's where it fades into the chorus pretty much. I just call it the chorus because it's pretty much the highest point of the song. Skip ahead if you want to hear what it should sound like in the end. Okay, and this is how fast you have to become, in case you want to play it in the tempo that I play it in. Okay, and finally, let's see what we're gonna learn in the next part. Okay, that was part 5. I know that was pretty difficult. Part 6 is gonna come out next week. Until then, practice, practice, practice. It's always about repetition, you know that. So do that, and until then, go visit my Patreon page if you want to. You can support me there so I can release more of these beautiful tutorials. Also, there's an app, link is right here. It's called Flowkey, and they also make piano tutorials. I support them because I really like it. It's a nice app. Go check it out. It's for free. You can try it for free. And yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next part.